And of course, you can always reach out to me directly. I'm happy to answer any questions. So I thought I'd touch real quickly on a couple of things that are also currently being evaluated. So we are doing a lot of model evaluation. You maybe have heard some rumblings that the Weather Service is trying to go to one unified short range weather model, the RRFS, rapid refresh system. So we've been doing some evaluations to see how this new model is going to run on some of our other models for icing, SIP and FIP, and then for our turbulence model, GTG, changing the underlying modeling, how that's going to change things. So we've been doing evaluations, bringing in meteorologists to take a look and see how the RRFS underlying model performs compared to the previous short range models. So that's still kind of in the works. RRFS has been delayed, I believe, but they're still looking at that evaluation and seeing how they're going to handle it. As I mentioned, as we are going to our new NAOC desk and wanting to do more messaging, we've also been playing with and currently are evaluating key aviation messages. So some of our other sister centers, the Weather Prediction Center, Storm Prediction Center, National Hurricane Center are already doing messages like this. So we are doing an evaluation to see how we can incorporate that here at AWC to try to provide some, overview highlights of what the significant impacts would be to either general aviation or the larger aviation community. We want to make them easy to interpret and perhaps have some calls to action. Again, that's the human factor side of things. We want to give the information, but then we also want to be able to go that extra step to say, okay, so now what? What should I do or what should I be aware of? So we will be continuing to evaluate this and we'll be testing it into our operations. It's not ready for rollout, which is also kind of a neat thing as we have these new opportunities. We'll be testing a lot of things before they're actually rolled out officially into operations, but we'll go through that whole process when things are ready for prime time of announcing it and making sure that that's communicated to. And then lastly, we for several years have been looking at producing some type of outlook graphic. We know that there's an aviation weather forecast gap, especially beyond 24 hours. How can we do a better job of communicating weather that's coming, especially for the general aviation community where, it would be particularly helpful. A little hobbyist pilot wants to fly to go get a expensive burger somewhere, right? It would be really helpful to have a little more of a heads up to help make that decision of, could I maybe go or do I just need to cancel it right now? So recognizing this gap, we've been trying to figure out here, how can we fill that gap? So we've also been evaluating what an outlook graphic would look like, how we would make it display, how hazards would look on it, what type of time frames would we have? Would it just be day 2, day 3? Would we need to break up the time frame a little bit differently because we have different hazards during different times of the day? So this is something that we've run several experiments with, and we're going to continue to run experiments with because, again, we do recognize it is a gap, and it is something that we are hoping that we'll have the resources to down the road help provide that type of guidance and that type of information. I think that's prog charts are very, very popular on our website, and I think that is sort of used for this purpose right now, but we're hoping to maybe provide a little more specific to the hazard to give the aviation community a little different perspective and a little different view on what's coming up. So again, this is all really experimental stuff. It isn't ready for prime time yet, but we're going to continue to work on it and see how we can continue to evaluate it. We get a lot of webmail. So if you go to our website, here's a little menu bar here and click on the little envelope. If you run across something on the website, if it's a bug, if it's a suggestion you have for us, if you just click that envelope and send us an email, it goes to me and a handful of other people here. We see all the email and we respond to all that email as quickly as possible. Sometimes we get a little overwhelmed and it takes us a little while, but we do locally have, we are very cognizant and try to return every email, a response to every email that we can as quickly as possible. One other thing, since I have a room full of a lot of people who are also instructing that I didn't have a formal slide for, so I'm not sure if it's still in the FAA handbook because that's, older on our older website and our older information. But we know you no longer need an account to do anything on aviationweather.gov unless you're submitting PIREPs through a portal. So I think there still is a misconception that even to view our data or to somehow save it, that you need an account. You don't need to do that anymore. You can bookmark whatever page you want. You don't need to have a formal account. But again, if you are interested in submitting PIREPs, we do have a PIREP submission tool through our website versus talking to an air traffic controller. You can sign up to get an account that way. You just need to supply your airman certificate and your name and information. We validate that. It's actually me that validates that. And then we'll approve your account so you're able to use that feature. But otherwise, just for general use of the website, there's really no need for an account anymore on aviationweather.gov. So that QR code takes you directly to our website. And if you go to that QR code, it goes to our outreach page, which has a whole bunch of information on it, as well as my contact information. I'm always here to help navigate any questions you have, questions, comments, concerns. If you're ever in Kansas City area, I would love to give you a tour of Aviation Weather Center if you have never been here. So you can really see where the sausage is made and meet some of the meteorologists that are behind this all. So that's the part that I also love to emphasize, that, we have an amazing team of very experienced, dedicated only to aviation weather meteorologists here at the Aviation Weather Center. They take a lot of pride in what they do. We have a very specialized mission, and there really are people behind all of the SIGMETs and the AirMets that you're looking at. So please come visit with us. We'd love to have you. And I wanted to make sure I left plenty of time for questions, comments, concerns, anything that you might want to know from me.
Hey, Jen, it's Nathan Polderman. I think you already know what I'm going to ask.
Hi, Nathan.
Yeah, the issue with portraying model data outside of the boundary of the U.S., Canada, and Mexico, that seems like that isn't going anywhere. What is really the issue there? Since it's not an issue anywhere else on any other government website that I've ever seen, except yours.
International agreements.
Okay, so the other government agreements don't apply to you guys?
So weather data, it's because, well, if I'm going to be perfectly blunt, which I can be, we are the only country that allows you to have aviation weather information for free because your tax dollars pay for it.
Okay.
All other countries have a cost recovery system set up. So we are adhering to our international agreements and are displaying information for the U.S. and you are free to use that because your tax dollars pay for it. And thank you very much. Does that help?
Yes.
Yes. I can go into more if we have a drink sometime.
Right. Mike has a follow-up on that.
Okay, so this is going to be out of ignorance, but when I go to 1-800-Weather Brief, I can show the winds all over the place. And in instruction, it gets really annoying when I have this beautiful ridge that has turbulence, but oops, it's going through the Northeast United States and it's all chunked out. And from an instructor, it drives me nuts. So then I have to go over to 1-800-Weather Brief so I can actually show them the SIGMET and the flow aloft. So how is it they're able to do that and you're not?
They're showing Canadian data?
Yeah, high winds.
So I don't know exactly, but I would guess because they are not a government agency.
So Jen, the conversation you can't hear includes the words, but it's not your fault. So you're okay.
Thank you. It's fine. I have very thick skin at this point, so you could tell me it's my fault.
Christian, were you going to ask a question?
Yeah. So, hi Jennifer. My name is Christian Amaral. I'm here representing ALPA today. Airbus captain at United. I look forward to a tour, my next Kansas City overnight. I'm going to take you up on that right after barbecue. I guess the other thing, I mean, we've danced around the elephant in the room. I just want to say that we appreciate the work that you do. I think what's happening out there is awful, and the work you do is important. So thank you. And then secondly, my question is about the GTG product. What enhancements are happening, and what inputs are driving those enhancements in terms of data? Is it trying to think EDR or Is it more data?
Oh, I could have a whole other conversation on EDR and how I wish we could get our hands on it more. But so first question, yes, please contact me for a tour. Happy to do that. I'll also give you a barbecue briefing of where to go to have the best barbecue in Kansas City. For GTG, we are working on, see, this is when I should have some of our developers on too, because I'm just ancillary. We are doing Nowcast GTG evaluation, and the other model improvements have to do with the underlying RRFS model that I was talking about too. They're looking at seeing how it's going to run with new modeling underneath, and then just other modeling enhancements. So if you really want a lot of details, please feel free to reach out to me, and I could put you in contact with our expert here and on the FAA side, because it's a joint project. So the FAA has a hand in that as well, on what improvements are going on, and we're working on that together. They're doing a lot of the technical side. Well, we're doing it together, but it's all displayed on our website. So it's really a joint project that we've been working on for many years.
So we have two folks online with their hands up, and I'd like to give them a chance to ask a question, and then when the second of those is done, I'm going to hand it off to Andy McClure so that we can end somewhat near to on time. And Andy is the first person with his hand up, so go ahead, sir.
Thanks, Matt. And Jennifer, I'm just wondering, you mentioned January 27th when all the text airmets went away, except in Alaska. They've been working on converting everything over to graphic forecasts, and I'm sure graphic airmets as well. But do you have an idea when that might happen?
Yes, you are correct, and no. Alaska,
Okay.
Alaska's a whole different animal, and I mean, it's through the ERAU, who's the Alaska Aviation Weather Unit, who's basically an AWC just for Alaska, and they have a lot.
Yep.
I mean, they're just an entirely different beast, and I think that they would like to get there, but they have a lot more hurdles, and it's a lot more complex than here.
Yep, I understand all that.
Yeah.
Been dealing with it for years, but that's okay. Thanks.
Probably will for a little while longer.
And Katie Sims, you're up.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Just had a quick question. I noticed on your website, I know there's delay in new products and testing that new model, but it said that there was a new product pertaining to turbulence, the CIT, that was supposed to be out March 20th of this year. I was curious when the new projected date is, since I haven't seen that kind of actually come out.
I didn't realize it was referenced on our website, so I will have to look and get back with you. If you wouldn't mind sending me a follow-up email, I can definitely track that down for you.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And just because I'm a softie, there's one more hand up online. That's Walt Rogers. Go ahead, Walt.
Well, the question is in the chat, so I just wanted to know. Hi, Jennifer. It was a great overview. I don't even want to criticize anything. There's been so many changes on aviationweather.gov that are improvements, especially the extended things that are going on for general aviation. So congratulations. It's a live, evolving system. Okay, Mountain Wave hazard product. This is something dear to my heart. I'm a glider pilot. I represent the Soaring Society of America, and I've discussed this a lot with Bob Sharman a number of years ago. Is there any development work to create a Mountain Wave hazardous weather product? That's my question.
Not a specific product, but we have been having discussions about getting specific with turbulence that's mountain wave induced.
The thing about the mountain wave is that it as an overall phenomena, it has many other hazards that are not turbulence related. So as a phenomena, I think it would be best to approach it that way. Okay, I'll take that as an answer. Thank you.
Thank you, and I appreciate the kind words about the website as well. And I actually take a lot of pride, and a lot of people have been saying that our changes have been coming so fast. And I'm like, yes, a government agency, we've finally done it. We're doing fast changes.
You got lots of things to put on your what have you done in the last week list. Very good.
Very good.
So
Jen, thank you very
everyone.
much.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Feel free to reach out to me anytime.
Yeah, very good. Okay, Andy, yeah, there you go. Get yourself on camera so we can see your handsome face. Let me get your slides up and running, and then we will rock and roll. Just one sec. And by the way, I was concerned when I saw your deck at how short it was, and now that we've given you only 9 minutes to brief it, it's going to be perfect.
I hope so. If I can learn how to be concise, that is.
Okay, I think you're up and running.
Okay. You can see my my beautiful background there. I'd like to thank Matt and Matthias first off the bat for allowing me to do a very last minute presentation. I'd like to emulate Jennifer there for wishing I could have been there in Daytona Beach. Certain things got in the way of that, but I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about remote weather sensing here in Alaska. Although you'll find, I think, that a lot of the things I talk about here aren't exclusive to Alaska. With all the AWASs and ASOSs in the country, some of the subjects I'm going to touch on can apply across the board. So let's go to the next slide, Matt. There you go. You'll see I first thought it's a problem searching for a solution, and no, it's actually dying for a solution now. A lot of the technology involved in ASOS and AWAS, and even the weather cameras up here in Alaska, is becoming outdated and not really giving us the information we need when we need it. A lot of that is due to antique infrastructure. That's both public infrastructure out in the bush, as we call it, away from the population centers, but also has a lot to do with infrastructure within the Weather Service and within other government agencies that can slow down the flow. There's a lot of stations here in Alaska where getting an actual observation is near impossible at times, and sometimes for very extended periods as well. Just to give an example of what happens, the government laws regarding competition with local phone companies forces government AWASs and ASOSs to go via copper wire, sometimes very, very old copper wire, to get anywhere. Satellite transmission of weather observations is a possibility, but currently not an option as far as government agencies go. These two issues, together and separately, are costing a lot of time and money, and to get back to the title of this slide, sometimes even lives. Air taxi companies can only operate if they're actually making money. If they have to leave their home base, fly 100 to 150 miles out into the hinterlands to the point where they can listen on the radio to a completely live and functioning AWAS or ASOS, and only then find out that they can't actually go to their destination, they have to turn around and fly all the way home, which costs an awful lot of money for doing nothing, especially if you're flying a twin engine aircraft like say a Piper Chieftain, or a turbine aircraft like a Caravan. But the companies absolutely hate having to do that. And if you're going out to a place where, say, somebody got hurt or somebody is sick and needs a medevac into the areas where the hospitals are, it could indeed cost them their life. So what are the impediments here? budgetary constraints, and that's only getting worse in the current political climate. Political turf wars between agencies. The Weather Service and FAA work together a lot, but when one company, or one agency owns the AWAS or ASOS, and the other company, other agency has to do the maintenance on such a device, things can get really drawn out, and the different agencies have different priorities for how they spend their money and where they allocate their people. So outmoded acquisition processes are also part of this problem. Trying to replace antique equipment doesn't always happen when it needs to. I know this for a fact when I worked at Kenai Flight Service Station, just down the road from where I am right now. The switching devices that allow radio transmitters to make it all the way to a operational position are at a point where literally the maintenance guys in the back room have to touch the cards that the circuitry is on, basically wearing gloves and making sure that they don't cause the card itself to crumble into dust between their fingers. They've been working with the same equipment since sometime in the 80s, probably 70s or 80s. 4 different switching systems have been proposed and gone into development, only to have the money for that all pulled for some other higher priority project. Just doesn't work. So next slide, please. Okay, this is all my own brain power here, coming up with what could be and what needs to be. Weather observing machinery with unlimited ceilometers, which is something before I retired a couple of years ago, people were actually talking about. Instead of clear below 12,000, you should be able to see all the cloud layers. Machine-derived visibility per sector would be something we actually used to do when I was a human weather observer in my first couple of flight service stations. And basically, unless someone goes in there and puts in a remark in the METAR, that's a thing of the past. Pardon me. Weather cameras are not exempt from this set of issues that we have. Generally speaking, the weather system or weather cameras, which started up here in Alaska, have 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 cameras pointed in different directions. But that doesn't really tell a pilot what the weather is doing if a big shower is outside the camera view and headed straight for the station. If we had 360-degree zoomable panoramic camera images, I know this has been done by software in some cases, which allows the pilot on the ground to zoom the camera image and swing it around any direction, see what's actually going on in the whole area around where the station might be. On-demand ADS-B, another idea that I've been thinking about, and I think it's probably coming to fruition here soon, to allow people like flight service, myself being an ex-flight service guy, very near and dear to my heart, and it's actually used once or twice, not the ADS-B portion of it, but being able to search the weather cameras and positively ID an aircraft that's overdue on a flight plan. If we can get that with ADS-B, makes it even easier for both pilots and flight service to see what's going on. Simplified maintenance is another thing with more modern machinery. A lot can be done remotely. I know this from talking to the weather camera office people whose cubicles were right next to mine when I was working at the regional staff in Anchorage up until retirement. And satellite communications, I mentioned that a little bit earlier, but getting from the weather stations to the world and even to the cockpit is a possibility. Direct to cockpit imagery, direct to cockpit PIREPs, weather updates, SIGMETs, you name it, and getting PIREPs back from the cockpit are near and dear to my heart, having been responsible for leading a group called the Alaska PIREP Weather Improvement Group for several years before I retired. So, next slide, please. What we could get out of this is not having to wait, as we've been told many times, waiting for the next system, which is going to be even better than this one, before the old equipment is no longer supportable. If we could get systems updated as the technology improves and not be told to wait for another 10 years or 20 years in some cases to get refreshed equipment, that would have a huge impact, I think, on benefits to the pilots and to weather professionals, to the flight service professionals, you name it. Somehow reducing the need to coordinate systems between government agencies or divisions within agencies, such as air traffic versus tech ops in the FAA, such as FAA in general versus the Weather Service. Again, that would yield huge benefits, and it would be safer for everybody, unquestionably. So I'm a little past quitting time, and I know at the end of the day, there's nothing quite as important as the end of the day. So let's go to the next slide, and I'd love to answer any questions or talk about what's going on.
Thank you, Andy. That was great, and yeah, man, you nearly got us back to on time. So kudos to you. Appreciate that.
Well, I think you know me pretty well, Matt, and you know I could talk just about as long as I'm given time to talk.
I'm confident that what you say is true. Any questions for Andy in the room? Matt, you're a former Kenai guy. I'm shocked you don't have your. See, I made you put your hand up. There you go.
Hi, Andy. Matt Tucker, retired Atlanta Center, former tower manager at Kodiak. So I felt your pain. Our weather service guy came around every couple of months to check the ASOS if it broke or we got the dollar sign. You know, 2-3 weeks if we were lucky to get them out. Tech Ops was at Kenai. If something broke, you had to wait for Tech Ops to, and if it needed to be big, the ferry had to be able to carry it. And then if the ferry wasn't running, you were just pretty much screwed. Well, you weren't getting the parts. So yeah, if it couldn't fit on an Alaska Airlines flight, or you know, unless you were lucky and the Air Force was kind enough to put out on a C-17 for you. But no, I feel your pain, and I know money was always an issue on trying to get stuff fixed up there.
Oh yeah, that hasn't changed, believe me.
The funny thing is, I've been gone 5 years, and I got a call from the guy that runs the janitorial contract asking for a PIV card.
I love it. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Hey, we've got an online hand up. It's my MITRE colleague, Bill Bauman, and I have at least half a clue what he's going to want to talk about. Go ahead, Bill.
Thanks, Matt. And yeah, I thought you might have an idea of what I wanted to talk about. And hi again, Andy. And
hey, Bill.
throw on my camera here just so you can see me here from North Carolina. So we MITRE, on behalf of AJM 33, are working on Section 629 of the FAA Reauthorization Act of 2024, which is to assess the ASOS and AWOS in Alaska, Hawaii, and the territories. And that's due from MITRE September 30th, report back to Congress in November for the FAA. So we've been digging into a lot of the data, looking at problems with the ASOSs and AWOSs. Preliminary results are all pointing to COM, not the sensors themselves necessarily. But it is true when a temperature sensor goes out in a Monic, it could be out for months because you're waiting for the tech to get a charter flight to get out there to do a Monic in Bethel and Toxic Bay and Shivak all at the same time because they don't have the funds to go out and come back because it's so expensive. So we are looking at alternative weather stations like VWAS, MWAS, IWAS that also will have ceilometers. And they're looking at lower cost ceilometers, not for 25,000 feet, but just for IFR. Tell us if it's IFR or not for a lot of these airports, which really brings down the cost. We're working with Gordy Rother on that side of things and John Steventon to look at those alternatives. And as I put in the chat, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but we've been talking about satellite comm and all the different ways that this could be done in the future, which would be a 50-year project for the FAA. And DOGE has already installed 20 Starlink dishes in Alaska for the ASOS and AWOS at the end of February into the end of March. So when we brought that up to the FAA, oh, no, there's no way you can use Starlink. Security can't be done. And bam, DOGE installed 20 of them. So,
wow,
that may be the comm solution. We'll see. We don't know. Like the VSAT dishes that are heated, if the Starlink dishes get buried under snow, are they dead in the water and things like that? But there is some progress being made. And as I said, we'll finish our work in September and report out to the FAA to report back to the Congress. So hopefully there will be some improvements.
Right. That's one of the things I didn't have time to really talk about was the fact that there's an increasing number of privately owned AWOS, ASOS lookalikes that are installed here in Alaska and yet don't report to the Weather Service and are only available either by telephone or by getting within range of the transmitter.
Right.
Which is, it's a very sad way to go if all the, operators who need to have exact weather have to install their own AWOS or ASOS.
Yep, and we've been talking to the DOT from the aviation side in Alaska. There's a researcher, Dr. Mike Jones at University of Alaska, that's working on ASOS, AWOS implications for delivery of food and medicine and people to get medical care. So we're partnering with him as well and talking to other folks up there. So we're digging in to see what kind of answers we can provide for this analysis we're doing.
Right. I'm glad you mentioned the MWAS as well, because Walter Combs, who's running the company that makes those, is a very good friend of mine. So
and we talked to Walter as well, and we're thinking, see what he can do. And then IWAS is made by IntelliSense, and they're also talking to Walter. So they're competitors, but they're talking to each other. So
there you go. Perfect.
See how that works out.
So Matt, you got your token mention.
Yeah, and I'm not certain what sort of back channel conversations were going on between you and Bill, but there you go. We got a back channel mention.
Yeah, Bill, your check's in the mail.
All right. I'm sorry. I think so. Room. We've been here a long time. My eyes are a little glassy, and I got one more meeting to conduct after this. Online, I see no more hands up. Andy, thank you very much, sir. Once again, appreciate you. And by the way, Andy was very kind in characterizing in thanking us for letting him sneak in at the last minute. The untold part of that story is that Andy was a rescue for us because we had a last minute departure that left about a 15 to 30-minute hole, and he said, "Oh yeah, I can fill that hole for you guys, no problem." So it was a little bit of a win-win that it ended up this way. So we appreciate it very much, Andy. And on that note, I think we will end for today. For the FPAW steering committee members, we are going back to the College of Aviation, so that away to room 105, where we will have our steering committee meeting. And for those of you who are not on the FPAW steering committee meeting, I would invite you to come back tomorrow morning for the tour, once again at 8:30, followed by our quasi brainstorming session called a solution storming session starting at 9:30 here in this room. If you have to miss that, okay, fine, although it makes me sad, but do show back up at 1 o'clock to hear Rex Alexander talk about his adventures as a operator of machines that beat the air into submission at low altitudes without a whole lot of information. And he has done it for 40 years and somehow lived to tell the tale. It will be a fascinating discussion. I can promise you that. So hopefully we'll see you all here tomorrow. On that note, let's call it a day.
Just one more little shout out from Alaska to Mike Splitt, who helped us out any number of times on our PIREP improvement group when I was still working.
Very good. Mike says you're more than welcome, and your check's once again in the mail.
Cool. See y'all later.
Bye.